The day is upon us. Path of Exile 2 0.3 is launching today. Along with the release of 0.3, it'll be free to play until September 1st, 1 p.m. PDT. Now, I will be streaming the entire weekend, so feel free to hop by, come get your free Twitch drops. As you can see here, we have 2 different weeks of possible Twitch drops. And the first week is going to go until September 6th, 5 o'clock a.m. PDT. And you will get a clam stash skin and the helmet of the Abyssal after 3 hours of accumulated watch time. And on week 2, it goes from September 6th, 5 a.m. PDT, all the way until September 13th, 5 a.m. PDT. The Cape of the Abyssal becomes available after another 3 hours of watch time. Drops will be enabled for my stream, so please feel free to come by, hang out. New players are always welcome. I am down to help out, answer any questions you have. The link will be in the description below. So, let's talk League Start. What will I be playing? I am not playing Deadeye. I'm sorry. Everyone else is doing it. They can have their fun. It does look like it's going to be an insane class. So, if you want a really good starter, probably go Deadeye. But I want to play with the Mortar cannon. That looks pretty fucking awesome to me. So, I'm going to be choosing the Tactician. They have some nice new notable updates. The cannon's ready passive skill is going to be getting an additional maximum totem. And there is an additional node that will be after cannon's ready. And it causes us to have embankment auras added on to our totems when we place them. Now the Mortar totem, or the Mortar cannon, will give us 15% of damage gained as extra fire. So this is going to be a pretty nice buff to our fire damage. We will be using explosive grenade. Now the only issue is we're not quite sure how the damage is going to be when you slot grenades into the Mortar cannon. Here's the screenshot from the video during the live stream. There's no information here telling us whether or not we will have less damage or exactly how much cooldown we have with these, but this support tab here might give us that information. So it'll be something we have to see in game and kind of play around with. Now, when do we get Mortar Cannon during the campaign? My thought is it's going to be one of these 2 coming soon slots. But since we already have a totem in the skill level 9 area, I feel like it's going to be at skill level 13, which will be a little bit sad, but we will get to mess with it a little bit before the end game. You obtain these at around character level 52. Now, what are the other passive nodes that I'm planning on going for? Well, persistent buffs are going to be pretty massive, especially if we can work Trinity into our build. And 50% less reservation is going to give us a lot of room to play with for reservation skills. Beyond that, we have allies in our presence gain added attack damage equal to 25% of your main hand weapon damage. This is going to be pretty massive in giving buffs to our totems. Now, the other option we have is going to be this. In patch 0.3, this node is getting updated. It is removing the current gain 100% of armor as extra stun threshold and ailment threshold. Instead, it will have gain 20% of armor as deflection rating. Now, deflection rating is a brand new mechanic being added into Path of Exile 2 0.3. Now this gives us a chance to mitigate 40% of all damage. Depending on how hard it is to obtain deflection throughout the passive tree and armor pieces, other stuff like that, this could be a really solid node if our defense is feeling a little bit lackluster. Now I want to talk about Stay Light, Use Cover. With the addition of evasion, being able to evade all attacks, just like as if you were using acrobatics from before, and with deflection rating existing within the game, this could have a very high use case in hardcore to keep your character surviving those maximum big physical hits. Planning this Ascendancy out is a little bit tricky because I don't know how early we're going to be getting Mortar Cannons. So the first nodes are actually going to probably be Polish That Gear or a Solid Plan. I don't really see myself using Suppressing Fire all that much. The pin could be a bit pretty solid, especially if you can support it with increased damage on immobilized enemies anywhere on the tree or whatever. But I'm probably just going to play it safe, take polish that gear for deflection rating, run a solid plan for some more persistent buffs, and then once we get our mortar cannons, then we'll be considering cannons ready, the embankment aura, and then possibly watch how I do it. I'm not quite sure what's going to give us the most damage, but we're going to play around with it and see how it goes. Alright, now let's quickly go over the passive tree. Now there are a ton of new nodes, especially in the Merc starting area, but starting off, the first about 15, what do we got? 18 points is going to be pretty normal, nothing new. We're gonna rush for Grenadier to have an extra cooldown use for our grenades, and then we're gonna start pathing over towards volatile grenades. Now, in this section, there are a couple new nodes that I'd like to take a look at. This is where our first new cluster is that we're going to be looking at taking. We have a deflection rating node here, but on top of that, right above, there is a new crossbow node here. I mean, obviously, it's in the shape of a crossbow, so we'll have to see what this gives us. And as you can see, our volatile grenades node is right here. So we're going to be pathing over here. There's going to be a lot of nodes that we can take in this area. Now moving onward, there's a bunch of new notables in this area, and this totem cluster is getting changed. It looks like it might still be totems. Let's see, find the photo here. It looks like it could still be totems here, or at least like ballista style nodes, because this looks like a sort of giant crossbow ballista here in the shape of it. There's also some new area of effect nodes here. So this will be our third pathing priority. We're going to be heading towards here, seeing if these nodes are going to be useful to grab depending on whether or not we have mortar cannon or not. So the majority of the campaign run is probably going to be using explosive grenade, gas grenade, and flash grenade, self-casting that is. Once we get mortar cannon, I will be messing around with it, but if it's not feeling good right away, I'm just going to stick with the grenades to get through the campaign as fast as possible, and then start messing around in endgame, feeling around how mortars feel. Now there's another set of nodes that I'd like to talk about. We have this new node over a little bit further to the left called Molten One's Gift. Now this one is right above these rage nodes here. This will allow fire damage to cause armor break, and the reason why this is pretty huge for this class is explosive grenade is a fire damaging skill. So as we explode grenades on them, it'll cause armor break. And then with the new update to high velocity rounds, we have extra damage on every single hit after consuming armor break with high velocity rounds.
And using high velocity rounds with armor break will now fragment the opponent's armor. This causes monsters to take a portion of high velocity rounds damage with every subsequent hit, even tiny pellets.
So that synergy looks like it could be really fun. We'll have to play around with it and see how it feels. But yeah, so far that is my plan. I haven't planned too deep into the tree. I do have a couple options, but again, I really don't know how the passive tree is going to look. Gonna be playing around with it. None of this is set in stone. So anyways, feel free to hop in my stream, come ask questions, follow along the build. I'll be updating my POB as the day goes on, and then at the end of the day, at the end of day one, I will be making a mobalytics guide to help anyone who wants to play this tactician build get into the end game smoothly with as little problems as possible. Thank you guys for watching my shallow dive on tactician. Hard to do a deep dive when you don't know the passive tree. Anyways, come hop by my stream. Gonna be streaming all weekend. Dapper Goldie on Twitch. After the first week is up of the league launch, after the first craziness is kind of settled down a little bit, I'm gonna be trying to figure out how to do a multi-stream, streaming to YouTube and Twitch. So with all that being said, like, comment, subscribe. I'm fucking hyped. Let's go.